Welcome to the Barebow Hunter Podcast with your host, Nate Bailey and Jerry Gowins, where we celebrate the ancient paths of our barebow ancestors, where hard work and woodsmanship outweigh advanced shooting devices, where we value those who've gone before us and welcome those yet to come. Join us as we share valuable insight about the barebow hunter's lifestyle. Okay, welcome to another edition of the Barebow Hunter Podcast. Today we have Jerry Gowins here. How's it going, Jerry?
Well, doing well. Good to be back doing this again and hunting again.
Yeah, so a lot of you guys have probably found out by now, if you follow our Instagram, that we have been bear hunting. We only had, what did we hunt, 3 days?
2.5, yeah.
Yeah. 2.5 days. We did a lot of bear hunting in different spots. Most of the places that we went, a lot of guys don't really go to. When you think of Southern Oregon bow hunting or bear hunting, you're thinking of going to a clear cut and glassing it and then shooting them long range rifles. And it's very effective and it's a good thing because, you know, they're helping with the bear population. But something that we did this last year with our bows. And we went to the places that we're going to this year, but we didn't really do the whole long range thing. And we probably could have got on bears quicker if we did.
Absolutely, but that's not our game.
Yeah.
We're short range. I mean, that's why we hunt with traditional bows.
Yeah. Yeah, and also some of the places that we were going, we kind of wanted to go and check out.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen, it's all going to be up on YouTube, and this podcast is going to come out before YouTube, so I'm trying not to give too much away about everything that we saw, but we're going to have to give some of away because it was pretty awesome. So one of the things is last year, let's go back to last year. Last year, if you guys haven't seen the video, Jerry and I got in on a bear last year that was pretty good size.
Big.
He's big. Yeah.
He's just big.
He's real big. And it's in a spot that's really close to my house. So right now Jerry's at my house and we were spring bear hunting and we stuck it out and tried to hunt that area 2-3 times.
We went in a couple times, but it's down at this elevation. It was just so hot.
Yeah.
We had temps in the 80s.
Yeah. It was high 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was close to 90 because it was yesterday or day before yesterday was just scorching.
Right.
So we decided to go up high in the snow, but that same bear, we call him Mr. Big. And you guys, if you haven't seen the video, you can go back and check out the video. It's from last year's spring bear hunt. And that bear got within 50 yards?
Yeah, I'd say about 50 before the wind shifted just enough.
Right. Yeah. Or he shifted to it. You know, as he was coming, we were kind of stuck by the time he got around that clearing.
We had no place to go.
Yeah. So anyhow, he winded us and took off. But you'll see it all in the video if you guys go check it out. Well, anyhow, that same bear, I got him on camera later that year, and he's been living in there, and we found him again. He's in the same area.
Right, walking right through the same area that we watched him. I mean,
right.
The tracks we found were within an eighth of a mile from where we had seen him.
Right.
So,
and then so we went down there, and one day we saw so there's one mud puddle there, and we checked that mud puddle, and he crossed it. Same tracks, big tracks. We call him Mr. Big. It's on our Instagram, and then so we went in there, and there's one set of tracks one day. And then we went back in there the next day, and there's another set of tracks. I have a camera posted down there somewhere that we don't know where it's at. We went and looked for it, but I never could find it. But so I have him on a different camera in October. So we were hunting that one bear, but it was just getting too hot. I mean, by 8 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning, it was t-shirt weather.
It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And sweating. I mean, we were sweat. So if you guys have been around black bears very much, It is the rut right now, and sometimes that keeps them a little bit more active. But unless you're willing to go down there and beat the alder trees, unless you're willing to go down there and try to push them out of there. And if you guys have ever been in the alder trees here in Southern Oregon next to creeks,
those tag alders, you can't hardly get through them.
No, you can't. And not only can you not get through them, but if you did,
you're not going to get a shot off. I mean,
if you get a shot off, it's going to be like, you better be knifing him.
Yeah, right.
You better have a boar spear or something, because it would be super close. So Jerry and I made the decision, we're going high. And try not to give everything away here, because the videos are worth watching. So we did go high.
Beautiful, beautiful country. We had to walk. We couldn't drive up to where we wanted to go because of the snow. So we had to walk about 1.5 miles through patches of snow on the road. It wasn't too bad.
That was after the little Suzuki got us there, though. We got to give props to
the Suzuki. Got us through some of them, and then it just got to the point where, yeah
there's no way. Yeah. But so we did find a place. We walked in. Really not the kind of grass yet. I mean, the grass is coming up, but give it another week up there. Oh man.
Yeah, it was still fairly short, and
right.
But it was beautiful up there. I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't find bear up there.
Well, we did, but
I mean, watching and seeing multiple bears probably.
Right.
But I don't think the grass was just quite tall enough yet.
Right.
But man, it was a beautiful spot to sit and watch for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to pivot off of this now, because I want everybody to watch the videos. So the videos are going to come out, and you guys are going to watch them. And we're not going to tell you what happens. Jerry's like, well, why not?
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah. You don't. Yeah, we don't need to tell everybody that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just watch. Okay. Yeah. See how we did that, Jerry? Yeah. Jerry's like, that sounds so dishonest. Why aren't you just telling them? Yeah. No, it's not. It's just that you guys. There's some beautiful stuff that you need to see, and we'll leave it at that. The one thing that I want to address is, in the videos, you're going to see us not packing our traditional bows.
No, you're not.
And there's a reason for that.
Because we were carrying muzzleloaders.
Right. Well, yeah, but there's a reason we're carrying muzzleloaders. Because after that bear last year, we're like, and Jerry and I are the first to start talking about, we need to get rid of predators in this state.
We have far too many since measure, what was it, 18 or 20, whatever it was, that outlawed baiting in dogs for any predator. Well, I can't say that because it's okay for coyotes, but for bear or cougar specifically. So that took the management tools out of the hands of the management of game managers and put it in the hands of the voters.
Right.
And this being a pretty liberal state, they outlawed it. And now we have so many bears and so many cougar. Well, the cougar season's open year round now.
Right.
And it used to be just a couple week chase season, and that was it. Our deer and elk populations are suffering, and now we have the wolves.
Right.
So the bear numbers, cougar numbers, they've got to come down.
Right.
And so we decided that we didn't want to long range them across canyons with a high powered rifle, that we still wanted to keep it short range.
Right.
So we went with the primitive style muzzleloaders. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you guys watched that video from last year, that bear would not have killed more. So
he'd have been toast.
Yeah. I had a real hard time after that. And I talked to Jerry about that.
We had many conversations about that.
About the fact that here I am preaching about getting rid of the predators, yet because of my equipment choice, which is not a problem. I mean, our equipment choice is the way we want to do it, but I got to put my money where my mouth is. If I'm going to take care of bears, I probably should use the management tools that ODFW has given me, we could shoot 3 bears in this state.
I don't know
Legally.
too many other states that you can do that.
Right.
Because we have so many bears.
Right. And so I could have shot all 3 of my bears last year, if I was carrying a muzzleloader.
Right.
and not carrying my bow. And
We're still talking about shots well under 100 yards.
yes, but that 50-yard range.
Right.
Right. So there's no way I'm going to shoot an arrow at a bear at 50 yards
Or any other animal.
Maybe a grouse.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But so I was going through this and I was thinking, man, how am I going to be an effective conservationist yet still stay in the close range hunting that I want to do?
still stay true to our personal challenge
Right.
limitations that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how the muzzleloader came into be. And I've had a lot of people ask me about muzzleloader because, we're barebow hunters. We are, right? And,
At heart, that's what we are.
right. And so to have when I picked up the muzzleloader, people were like, "Oh, wow, what are you doing?" And so that's kind of what that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And then once we picked up the muzzleloader, and Jerry, you've always been kind of active in muzzleloading.
No. I mean, I did
Not hunting.
Not hunting. I did some historical reenacting with my wife.
Right.
We volunteered at it's a grade school camp, outdoor school.
Right.
And so I did the fur trapper, and she did the prairie woman and all that stuff.
Right.
And she used to do the Sacagawea and Civil War woman in the schools.
Right.
Until that funding ran out, and I portrayed Charbonneau with her at like nursing homes and
Yeah. So
stuff like that. So I had the equipment,
right.
but
Right.
I wasn't active in
And-
a shooting club or
Right.
anything like that.
And you loved it. I mean, I think anybody that's an outdoorsman in Oregon, well, probably anywhere, but more so in Oregon.
Just Oregon.
Well, because we come from trappers, right? I mean, that was one of our big things.
Absolutely.
So we kind of tend to draw back to that. And so I picked up the muzzleloader, and see, I'm 5th generation Oregonian. My family came over here before the wagon trains, and as that was happening, so it kind of tied me to my pioneer roots.
Right.
Not that the traditional bow doesn't, but it was kind of cool. It's a cool thing. I got to, I got a kit from Three Rivers, and I got to build the kit, and now I'm packing it around in the woods.
Right. And not only that, it's just after traditional bow hunting for a little over 30 years now, which is kind of a fun little diversion to try something new.
Oh, right. Right.
And
Because we're totally clueless sometimes.
And still, and still keep it in the realm of what we, like I said earlier, our personal challenge of
Right.
being close to the animal
Right.
before we kill it.
Right.
And like you said, there's nothing against the guys who go out and do the long range shooting with the black bears.
Not at all.
Because they
They're
got to
good.
be taken.
Yep.
But that's just not our thing.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was fun to carry the muzzleloader for 2 or 3 days, and
Yeah, it was kind of
I've
cool.
got an old Hawken. I bought a used Hawken style
Right.
mountain rifle actually, and it's fun to shoot and
Yeah. Yeah. That smoke is addictive.
Yeah, it is. I just picked up a flintlock too, a St. Louis Hawken flintlock, and I have yet to be able to shoot it, but I'm looking forward to it.
Matter of fact, we didn't clear your rifle, did we?
No, I'll do it on the freeway on the way home.
So anyhow, this is what we've been doing, and that's what you guys are going to see in the videos. So one of the things that we're going to do, I think, and I know the Life Outdoors, our YouTube channel, we're going to do more and more of the muzzleloading stuff, just because it's a part of me now, just like traditional bows are.
Right. I mean, now I want to build a muzzleloader.
Yeah, they go together.
Right.
It really goes together. It's just, I think honestly, like for elk hunting, I think my trad bow is actually probably more. it's probably going to be easier than, say I miss on the first round with the muzzleloader. I'm not going to get a second shot.
No, you're done.
I'm over.
Yeah.
With the Tradbow, you might be able to get a second shot. And same with, we were talking about bears. You know, what would happen if you miss a bear and he decides he doesn't like you?
Yeah.
To get a second shot with a muzzleloader is not going to happen.
No, you're going to turn it into a bat.
Yeah, you better be carrying 2 muzzleloaders.
That's about the only option you've got.
Yeah, you can bat them over the head with it. So there is that aspect to it that you have, knowing that you have one shot and it's going to take you, I don't know, what's the fastest
You know, for someone unpracticed,
right?
And even with those preloaded little cartridges we
Right.
had, I still think you're looking at 30 seconds.
Right, easily. And
you know,
and me, I don't know about you, but me, I start trying to push that ball in, and then I'm fiddle farting around, fumbling, trying to get it down, and then I get my starter out, and I forget how to use it right. So we're talking a minute and a half for me.
yeah, we're still neophytes when it comes to the muzzleloader.
I actually did a video on the YouTube channel, and this is how, when it comes to muzzleloading, this is how far gone I am. I'm learning a lot. I mean, that's probably why it's so much fun too. Is
because it's like
starting over bow hunting.
Exactly, just like it was like when we first picked up a trad bow, and then there's a lot of stuff to learn there in shooting it, and then you got make your own arrows, and then you decide to make your own bow,
right?
You know, and it's kind of the same excitement,
right?
You know,
and then all the heritage that goes along with it. You know,
right.
Tradbows have their Howard Hills and their Fred Bears and all that, and so does muzzleloading. And muzzleloading goes back in American history to like people that I've always looked up to, right? Like Jim Bridger and Kit Carson,
right?
And you could start talking the McLaughlins. I mean, these are all places. The names are all even stuff around us. So,
exactly. Yeah. Then of course the Lewis and Clark expedition up through here, and when I think about those guys, you know, that year when they were first up here at Fort Clatsop, it rained like all but 4 days, and they're out there with flintlocks.
Yeah.
The hunters to kill elk for the whole camp in that pouring rain. It's like, it's a whole bunch more respect now. And how do they keep that powder dry?
I have no clue.
And
I mean,
because in that part of the state, when it rains, it rains. I mean, it comes hard.
It rains from the ground up.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it feels like it. It's not really, but there's so much. When the rain's there's fog there. I mean, it is.
It's just wet.
It is wet. It is wet. You know, I had a couple days here. I videoed some of it. But I had a day here when I was hunting in the rain with my muzzleloader, and it's a progression, and I'm clueless. I'm learning though, and
I can shoot it.
yeah.
You know?
I can put it together,
right,
you know, and I know how everything works in it now. I didn't when I got the kit. I've learned. You guys don't understand how much of a learning curve and how fun it is to. I was calling it a Hawkins.
A Hawkins?
A Hawkins. Hawkins. And I got corrected in that.
Yeah.
Because it's Hawken and it's named after people. So that's a big deal.
Right.
And
you didn't have a powder horn, I understand.
You know, I was pouring straight out of the flask. I was pouring down a barrel straight out of a flask. And somebody says, "Do you realize that you have a stick of dynamite in there? If that thing goes off, you know what's going to happen?" And I started thinking, oh, you know what? So, it's pretty cool though, because there's been a lot of people that stepped up and helped me out. Ethan over at Muzzle Blast.
Yes.
Has just come along, and he's a younger guy, but he's been around it all of his life. And he came over and just kind of helped me out and said, "Hey, you know,
well, with no mentor, how do you know?
You don't,
you know, I mean, I got a younger guy right now that, I'm mentoring in Tradbows.
Right.
And I just got a text from him today, you know, and he wants to make his own arrows, but he has no idea about the fletching and all the numbers, he called it, you know, the different degrees and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, I was there at one time.
Right.
And I'm kind of back there now,
Right.
you know, with the muzzleloading thing. And it's fun.
Right. I was there at one time. So, you know, when we started doing this barebow thing in this barebow hunters group, and then we started doing a podcast, and then we started putting out videos and stuff like that. I was doing that because at one point this stuff wasn't out. Right. I mean, it took me forever to just learn what spine was. I could remember trying to figure out what spine was. I didn't have Google to Google it. I had to start asking people.
No, it's 30 years ago.
Yeah. And I had to ask people, and a lot of, so if you get like 5 mixed, you get 5 things that are mixed, then you're like, well, how do I even know who to believe? And then Traditional Bowhunter magazine came out, and that helped immensely.
Right. A lot of how-tos in the early years.
Yep. And then once that happened, when I saw the digital media going the way it was, I was thinking, man, you know, we could help people. We could actually make people be able to get into traditional bow hunting and actually shoot a bow probably pretty good to 20 yards within a year's time if they just listen to what we're putting out, you know?
Right.
You know how long it took me to get an arrow that was matched to my bow when I first started?
Well, we didn't know, you know, fortunately for me, I lived in the same town as Dave Dorn.
Gotcha.
And he was, you know, selling his feathers and shafts and stuff. And then by joining the Traditional Archers of Oregon, between him and Steve Savage and a couple other guys, I had some people to help me figure all that out.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you could find, I'm sure there was books out, and if you could come across the right magazine article to help you out and whatnot.
Right.
But right now, now you've got all that stuff at your fingertips.
Right. And
on YouTube, you can just find the right channel.
Right. Some of it you got to be careful though. Sometimes people are misleading too.
Right.
You know, traditional bow hunting has grown in popularity, which is great, but at the same time that brings problems with it too.
Right.
But yeah, so what I was saying is, you know, when we're able to see all this, well, now I take all that for granted. I mean, you know, I could step outside, throw an arrow on my bow and go, oh, that arrow's too, you know, that spine's way off.
Right.
Or I could say, you know, that spine's probably pretty close, but maybe my brace is off. And because there's kind of almost like an osmosis feel to it. You've been around it so long.
Well, you've experience.
Right.
You know.
So anyhow, getting back, people question me all the time about this stuff. And I think to myself, man, I don't even take that into account. I you know, it doesn't even cross my mind anymore.
It's not a huge head scratcher.
No. And so when I go into the muzzleloading world, and I'm that guy now, right? Where I'm the guy that's like, okay, I'm pouring powder right out of my flask, you know? And when I go in to do that, and they're like, that's like total rookie move. Now that's got my headspace back into the traditional bow hunting. Like, hey, you know, maybe I need to cover some more of the basis stuff to help these guys out that are getting into it. The guys that don't want to ask the questions, like me in the muzzleloading world.
Well, yeah, I'm lucky in Springfield. We have the Gunworks, which is totally dedicated to muzzleloading.
Yeah. And he's a great guy.
He is.
He's
David
easy.
is awesome.
Yep.
And I walked in there, and the first couple times I was in there, I'm looking at stuff and, gee, what is that for? You know, I don't even know what that is. And then I would say to him, and he was very gracious. I'd say, Lo, I've got some really stupid questions.
Right.
You know, and it totally took me back, but he was very, very gracious and said, you know, there's no stupid questions. You're just beginning, ask, and we'll get you through it.
Right.
So I'm lucky to have that here.
Right.
There are a lot of YouTube videos out there. I've perused some of them.
Right.
And some of them have been helpful.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but, yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that.
Well, the thing is, muzzleloading, the whole thing about the muzzleloading that has helped with the traditional bow hunting for me is how much we take for granted. You know, being around it for this for so long, it's like when I make videos and stuff, I've done some videos that I've put out on the channel that a lot of people have found a lot of value in, just setting brace height. And I'm like, really, does anybody want to see a video about how to set up brace height?
I've had people ask me when I've said that, they go, what's brace height?
Yeah, exactly. And that, I'll tell you right now, you guys, if listening to this, if your bow you can't ever find any way to get it to shoot right, it's probably your brace height. I mean, quite honestly, you could...
Knocking point, brace height.
Yeah. I mean, those two things...
Easy fixes.
Are easy fix. You could almost change the dynamic of an arrow coming off of the string just by brace height.
Oh, absolutely.
And, yeah. So, but that's something that's so menial to me. And once... I remember when I finally figured that out, and it was another bow hunter saying, and I think it was off of like Leatherwall back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And somebody saying, hey, just raise your brace height. And I was trying to run my brace stupid. I was trying to run my brace heights as low as I could because you pick up speed, right?
Right. and then there are other... I was in
1 foot per second or something.
I was in a bow shop a few years ago. It's primarily high tech, but they sell a few traditional bows.
Right.
And there was a guy trying out a bow, and I remember the one of the workers coming over, and it was a recurve, and he did the old fist metal thing with just the thumb in the hand, and well, that's probably your brace height there.
Right.
And he walked away, and I believe it was a Samick Sage, and I told him, you might want to raise that up an inch or two.
Yeah.
But it's like the guy didn't know me. He'd never met me. I had no credence with him.
Right.
The bow guy told him that that's where it should be.
Right.
So you got to be careful where you're getting your advice as well.
Right. And yeah. And so coming back is, these are the things that muzzleloading has done for me, is to show me how much I don't know about things. And so like people are going to want to see stuff just like me. I'm searching on YouTube now. I'm searching for things that probably guys that have been in muzzleloading would be like, doesn't he just know that? And no, I don't.
No,
I don't. It's the same thing. Same thing when I shot rifles. I was shooting across ranges with my son's rifle, and I did not understand the little dots in the scope. It was a MOA scope, which means minute of angle. And
okay. You just say it's something I didn't know.
Right. And so I thought that those little dots were like, one of those dots is 100 yards, one of those dots is 200 yards, one of those dots is 300 yards.
Yeah, well, logic would tell you that.
But that's not how it was.
Right.
You got to figure that out for that particular rifle. So I shot at a bear, and I had a friend spotting for me, and he had his binoculars up, and I shot, and he goes, dude, you didn't hit anywhere in my binocular view. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was holding 500 yards. I was holding 5 dots down. And after I did all the calculations and stuff, 5 dots down would have been like 20 foot high.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, those kind of things, I still don't know how to do that. That's probably one of the big reasons I don't do it.
The bottom line is, no matter what endeavor you pick up, everybody starts at zero knowledge.
Yeah. And so my point being, we as mentors or somebody that's trying to help people along to get into something, barebow hunters, the reason that we have to understand that about what we're doing. And we take so much for granted as far as barebows.
Well, yeah.
And we're taking so much for granted that, we got to be more open to, and people don't want to ask questions.
Well, we have to remember where we came from,
Yeah.
and encourage those who won't ask to ask.
Right. I mean, even the whole bear hunting thing, has been fairly new to us.
Last spring was the first time I'd ever hunted bear. I mean, specifically
Right,
hunted bear, and it was only 2 days.
Right.
So,
And 2.5 days this year.
yeah. So my total experience is 4.5 days hunting bears.
Right.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I absolutely want to continue doing it. But I got to tell you, here in Oregon, it's a challenge
Yeah.
to do it the way we're doing it.
Right. Right. And yeah, I'm still kind of mixed. I still got another day and a half, and I'm thinking maybe I'll go grab a rifle and go get one out of a clear cut so I can help with the conservation side of it. But then again, the weather's turned. Maybe I should go up after Mr. Big, and
Today would have been a good day.
today would have been a good day. I'm sure I put a camera right where he's crossing there, so it'd be nice to know. And here's another deal: if I don't get him spraying, I'm going to be back in there in August, and we'll go after him. But I feel like I really need to help with the bear population. If they're giving us this opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm conservation minded, and until they get back down to the numbers that are management levels. Once they get back to management levels, it's both from then on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And
other than the fact that I love my muzzleloader now.
well, you can just go out and shoot it for fun too.
Sure,
but
that's true.
There's something I think people don't understand about, when we say there's no baiting, people are thinking the bait piles and all that. You can't even use scents for them here.
Right.
Unless you're wearing them on your person.
Right.
Now, I don't know what kind of an idiot would wear scents on his pant legs for bear and draw them right to you. But they make those little smoke sticks and all that. It's all illegal.
Right.
Every bit of it.
Right. So me stuffing your pockets full of hamburger when you were sleeping, does that count as baiting?
It did to the little animals burrowing into my pockets, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty insane how that's, and we've tried to get that back on the ballot, and it's come close a couple times, but still hasn't. It's a thing in Oregon is we have the initiative petition process.
Right.
Any Joe Blow can get a initiative going, file it, get the needed signatures, and it goes on the ballot.
Right.
And the antis who ran the ads for that campaign, it was so blatantly tied
Wrong.
to emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the hunters didn't do themselves any favors. Everybody's like, yeah, it's not going to pass. And so there was nothing going out against those ads. There was nothing showing, a boar eating another baby bear. There was none of that.
None of that.
Because
boars eating fawns.
Right.
I mean, it's
right.
And frankly, I think we were unprepared because nobody expected anything like that to happen.
Right.
Why have a group all poised and ready to fight against something like this?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Right. Except for the initiative petition.
Yeah. And here's another thing that really bugs me about that whole thing is we actually had hunters who voted against baiting bears.
Right. They say I would never bait them, so
yeah,
they couldn't see the big picture.
Yeah, and now but hindsight is 2020. But everybody was raising that alarm. Guys that have been in the woods for a while were like, guys, the only way we're keeping these bears and these cougars under control are with these tools. ODFW knew it, and it wasn't.
That's why it was allowed.
And
it's the only management tools they had.
Yeah, and they still use them. We're just paying for them now. And
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's predator control.
Yeah, I mean, like over in one of the counties, over in one of the units, the game management units, they actually killed 24 cats out of that with hounds, but it was done by the state. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, with contract killers.
Yeah, they had to contract somebody to run his hounds and pay for it, whereas they could have been making revenue off of that, and the same thing's still being done. It's ludicrous, and people don't realize that. And quite honestly, so these management tools have been placed there, and then the state, ODFW, everybody blames ODFW for this, and it's not them. It's not the people. It's not your biologist at your local ODF office Matter of fact, if you talk to some of them that I've talked to, they would really like to see that management tool come back because they're having a hard time trying to figure out how to keep our blacktails around. They're really having a hard time.
Yeah, we're having a hard time with the deer population, especially the blacktail population.
Yep. And mule deer. Mule deer's another one in the state of Oregon that's having problems.
So it's a tough thing all the way around.
Right. How did we get on that?
I think it might
on a soapbox there.
be 2 or 3 days of no sleep, possibly.
Yeah, that's one of
kind of rambling around.
That's one of my pet peeves, though. Really, in the state is we allowed people who never even go in the woods to vote that, and they'd never see anything that's the reality of what's going on in the woods.
They don't want to see it. They don't understand how cruel nature is.
Yeah.
They just don't want us doing it.
Right.
And I talked to many people about it being a viable management tool. You'd say like, okay, look, but we're against dogs and baiting. I said, well, but this is how it is. If we don't have this, like we just talked about, those numbers are going to explode. And I hope it's not you or one of your relatives within the next 20 years that gets taken down by a cougar.
Right.
And it's starting to happen.
Well, and just in Ashland, there in Lithia Park, I mean, there's pets missing all the time.
Right.
And there's a lot of cougars in Lithia that come into Lithia Park. Bears too. They've had like 3 in this year. They've had like 3 times where they've had to remove bears out of Lithia Park.
We've removed them out of downtown Springfield.
Yeah.
They've removed. They've had to do cougar watches around schools because in town. I'm not talking about Marcola or something.
Right.
Where there's been cougar spotted outside the fence at the grade school.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is all 3 or 4 miles from my house.
Right.
Another mile or 2 down, there's a very, very popular walking path along the river. Multiple cougar sightings along that path, which is just kind of on the edge of town.
Right.
So, but we still have people.
Yeah.
We only have so much time, and I'm just going to go off. So,
so with that being said, how come we don't have a bear?
I know.
It's not that we weren't around them. Boy, oh boy.
Right.
One of the things is man, today is probably the best day we've had, and we didn't get out. You got to go home, and
it's been way too hot. The last 3 days were really, really hot.
In the 90s.
And the first hot days of the year.
Yeah.
Up in those degrees. And I'm sure that most of the movement was probably super early.
Yeah. Super early and super late. Yeah. And then when we did go into the snow, they were moving better up there, but because we found tracks. Well, I don't want to give too much away here. But there were bears around, and the elk and the deer were moving super well.
Yeah, we're just talking about the blacktail populations being decimated. And I've never seen so many blacktails in one day. I think we saw 40 blacktails in 2 days up there.
Yeah,
in that one spot.
And one group just
15. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never seen that many blacktails together in one group. I mean, in Southern Oregon, you don't see that.
It was like the whitetails in Kansas 2 years ago in the cornfields,
or mule deer. I mean, those big groups of mule deer. Yeah, is weird. It's strange, but anyhow, just kind of wanted to get on here and kind of fill you guys in on the fact that yes, we're carrying muzzleloaders, and yes, we still love our Tradbows. We do. Very much so. Matter of fact,
I just bought another one. So.
Yeah, and I've set up. I'm not telling anybody where I'm hunting or what I'm doing until it actually comes true, because I want to make. I hope I get what I'm putting in for tags, and if I don't, I'm still carrying that Tradbow elk hunting, man. I will never give.
Are you talking about the tag we put in for?
Yes.
Yes.
And if I don't draw that tag, I'm still there's places I don't know if you'll go on that one, though. If I don't draw that tag, I'm going straight into the Cascades and living off my back.
That's not an old man hunt. No land for old men.
So yeah, we kind of wanted to get on here and talk about that and try to hopefully keep some of those messages down about, hey guys, what the heck? Because we believe in hunting.
And I realize, well, I know several myself. A lot of traditional archers are also into the muzzle loading.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
It's
Nothing
not,
wrong with that.
No, it's not a big betrayal to traditional archery or anything like that. And frankly, I would suggest giving it a try because it's fun. I mean, even if you're just going to go out and shoot tin cans or whatever, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just the intricacies of all that you play with has, and it's just not changed over the years. And matter of fact, I'm going to get another muzzleloader. I'm getting a smoothbore.
I'm playing with the same thing. I think the sickness is starting to settle in, and I'll have a Kentucky rifle one of these days. And instead of one muzzleloader, I'm probably going to end up with 5 or 6.
Yeah. Maybe even some of the regalia, or is that what they call it?
Yeah, I've got a lot of it already.
Like the buckskins and the.
Yeah, I've already got a bunch of that from the reenacting days.
Maybe we should do like our bear hunt next year, just totally that. We can't even have modern day backpacks. We just have to live off the land while we're doing it. We might lose some weight.
No doubt. Chipmunks don't eat. They don't feed too much.
There's not that many berries out.
Not right now. There's no berries out right now.
We'll have to.
Fake morels or whatever they call them.
We could eat the fiddlers, what they call that on the end of the ferns, the fiddlers. We could eat those, and you could eat all the little shoots on a spruce tree. And
there was some dandelions up top.
Dandelions.
What, 8 of them?
Oh, no, that'd be fun. But anyhow, we just want to get on here, and that's what we were talking about. And hey, guys, if you guys are digging this, I forgot to do this at the beginning. I got a bunch of stuff that people have given us to give away to people. Work Sharp's one of them. I use Work Sharp on all my broadheads and my knives. So that Work Sharp, last podcast we gave one away. We're going to give one away in this podcast, and all you got to do is leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast, or you could even go. I'll even extend it. Go on Barebow Hunters group, and I'll start a thread there
on Facebook. Yeah,
on Facebook. And what I'll do is I'll just do a random number generator, and I'll lump them all together, and then do a random number generator and give it away. Work Sharp really has made that. Have you seen the Pro Guide sharpener yet?
No, I haven't.
Maybe I need to get you one.
I haven't seen that.
Let's get you one today. That is an amazing sharpener I use it on my single bevels and double bevels. It really works. And then if you're shooting 3 blades, it works really well on those.
Okay, cool.
All of them. So
yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Jerry's got to get home.
I got a 3-hour drive ahead of me.
Yeah, he's gonna slap me. So we're gonna get going. Thanks for listening, guys. One of the things that we can ask is please leave us some messages on what you'd like to hear on future podcast. Things that you might need help with, and I will find the guy that can help you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask. They're not dumb questions.
No, and I don't. If it's gap questions, we'll go find. Maybe we could get Jason Westbrook to come on. And help out. And if there's anything like that, then we'll try to get that.
We will find the answer.
Yeah,
we'll find the person who's the best at it.
Yeah, not us. Heck, we can't even track down a bear. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Barebow Hunters Podcast. Hey, if you like what you heard, please give us a rating down below. We like the 5 stars. And follow us also on Instagram under Barebow Hunters. Go to our YouTube account, Barebow Hunter at YouTube, under the Life Outdoors heading. So that's Barebow Hunters YouTube under the Life Outdoors. Also, go in, join Barebow Hunter group on Facebook. Thanks again for listening.